when you are in this process of turning to gold, it's very important where your heart and mind coherence is. It's very important that you are in coherence with where you want to go.
It is such a gift to have you on the show. We met a few years ago. You were hosting a workshop and we met then, and I got to tell you, I experienced such a fantastic energy in your presence instantaneously, and the comments that were coming through of everyone live on that workshop, it blew me away, and didn't surprise me in the slightest because I was there present with it as well, and it was just so wonderful. So I'm really appreciative of you joining me and supporting this podcast. And just before we started recording live, you just shared a little blessing for the podcast and other things in life, for my life. And I got to tell you, wow, instantly again, I felt that energy, and it just reminded me, this is one of the reasons I reached out to you, because I know you are a very powerful and very tapped in energy worker, for want of a better term. And all the people, the 20,000 plus people that you've been working with over the years, I just think it's such a blessing, and I just really welcome you here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, sweetheart. I'm so grateful to be here with you and with everyone listening. And yeah, thank you, thank you. Can't wait for the conversation. And I'm really excited about what's coming through what you said, allowing the energy to come through. It's more like I'm the conduit. What you see, what you feel is, of course, more than what I could create and share as a human being. This is really the divine power flowing through me, and I've learned to let it. And I want, everybody who's here to receive as much as they can open their heart up for. That's as much as can come in. So excited for this. Thank you so much.
You know what's just come up, actually? I just feel let's just dive in. There's a question on my mind, and the last few years especially have seen very transformational. I think many, many people are aware of that. And it seems to change, but somewhat increase, as if we're, especially people that are getting more tuned in and tapped in, we seem to be building a lot of muscle and strength in our energy fields and clarity. And even last year was very challenging for many people. But there's something about 2025 that feels different for me. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, what do you see around this shift, and what do you maybe expect happening in 2025?
Oh my God, wonderful question. Just let me tune in right now and just see what's coming. So the most important thing I can probably share from my perspective, which is the higher self perspective, I tap into my higher self in order to have access to the all-knowing field that has information about everybody living here across all time and space. That means we can access the past, we can access the now, and we can access the future. And therefore we can get clear information. And so that's what I'm tapping into right now. And the most important thing that's coming through is that this is true transformation that we're going through right now as a planet, as a society, as a humanity. And true transformation is alchemy, which means when you are turning lead into gold in an alchemical process, you have a little bit of gold already available, right? That you put into the kettle, but you have a lot of lead. And then comes a process that is the alchemical process that will eventually turn all of that lead into pure gold. This is what we're going through right now as humanity, as a collective. And while this process is happening, there are a few factors we need to know about. Number one, we need to have gold. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're part of the gold. You, Steve, are part of the gold. I consider myself part of the gold. Please let it be true, because we're literally stepping into an empowerment for positivity, an empowerment for helping everyone reach their highest goals, right? We're for everyone. We want to see the planet work for everyone. Would you agree? If you're listening to that, let me know if you agree. Yes. And so this means we're conduits for positivity, for something good to happen. And that is what I call gold. Yeah. So the planet is transforming to gold, but there is a lot of lead that we're dealing with right now. And the lead is also in us. It's not like, oh, we're conduits for good, we're pure gold. No, we also have lead, which is we may be in fear. We maybe is jealous about somebody having something that we don't have, you know. We may be in scarcity. Oh, I don't have enough. I don't, right? And temporarily we're jumping from I don't have to I have. So we're also jumping between those states, between the gold and the lead in ourselves. And we see humanity and society as a whole bathing a lot in lead. Yeah, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of scarcity. There's a lot of competition rather than collaboration. So that's what I call lead. And there are glimpses of gold as well, where people are waking up, where people are making positive changes. So what's happening in the bigger field of society is also happening within us. And if you're listening to this, and for you and I, Steve, I would say, you know, we already have work to having more gold than lead inside of us. Yeah. So the gold is already, you know, really coming through. Now, the second part about that alchemical process, other than what I just shared, that there has to be, you know, gold already present, is that there needs to be heat and energy. So the kettle gets heated up in an alchemical process, and a particular form of energy gets added, which has a lot to do with quantum physics, which we'll go maybe into later. But that heat is uncomfortable. If you're being heated up right now, if I'm being heated up, if we're heated up, we're uncomfortable. Yeah. That time, that moment when lead turns into gold, I'm assuming if I'm the lead, that's the most uncomfortable point, not process, the most uncomfortable point, because you're literally just breaking out of the old and turning into the new. That breaking point is what many people call the dark night of the soul. Yeah. So that's something where you have worked maybe so hard to getting into that light and feeling more and more gold, and you see more and more gold happening in your life. And all of a sudden you feel like, oh my gosh, it's going backwards. I'm now so uncomfortable. My relationships are breaking. I need a move. There are fires, you know, there's a hurricane. Our volcano is just erupting right now in this moment as we're speaking. You know, there are things happening in the outer world and in the inner world that almost tell us we're back, you know, we're going backwards. But that's not the case. We're not going backwards. We're just in a phase before the breaking point where we're very uncomfortable. And what's important to know about that process is that when you are in this process of turning to gold, it's very important where your heart and mind coherence is. It's very important that you are in coherence with where you want to go. Now, if you're not hearing anything else out of this podcast, but just this is going to be really good, because we have gone through this many times, and you have gone through this many times, and maybe people who are listening have gone through this many times, that we're reaching a point where we're feeling we're going backwards, we're getting dismayed, and then even though this is actually a turning point to something better, we're missing that turning point, and we get disheartened, and we feel, oh my gosh, all is lost, or we're just going to give up. That then turns our mind and our feelings towards what we don't want. And we create a heart and mind coherence that is coherent with what we don't want. And we're going straight backwards. That whole process of turning into gold is just going to collapse, and we're just going to stay lead. This is the energy that's needed for alchemy. So alchemy doesn't just need a little bit of gold and a lot of lead and heat. It needs the right energy. And that energy has to do with your heart and mind coherence. So what I want to mention about this year and what I want people to hear is, if you're going through anything this year, even last year, right now is the time to literally become coherent with what you want. Have your heart and your mind be focused on how you feel and what it looks like, where you are going. How does your goal look like, right? And so if you know how your goal looks like and you can hold steadfast to that thought and that feeling at that moment of breaking, when the lead is about to turn into gold, where it's really uncomfortable, where it feels really dark, where it feels like, oh no, you're going to be in, oh yes, I'm giving up what's no longer serving. And I'm going into more excellence, more love, more joy, more health, more beauty, more yes. And you're going to do it. It's an instant. It's an instant. And this year is such a year. This is a year of transformation. I call it a higher self year because last year was abundance. This year is creating a higher self connection so you can be in coherence with who you really are. Stay totally aligned with that instead of deviate from it and have different forces work against you. You're going to stay aligned with that and you literally turn into gold. And all the things that are happening this year that may not be comfortable, some will be and some won't, they cannot affect you reaching your goal because you're staying true to what you want to create. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and I love the analogy of the gold. It's something to connect with because it's
Mm-hmm.
such a brightness and that color to it. So yeah, I love that. I love that analogy. And you just mentioned something about last year being about abundance. Now, that just sparked something else for me right now because what I recognized last year, and obviously it's not everybody. Some people have different experiences, but I did see this story where a lot of people were kind of struggling with abundance last year. And so, is that something to do with just shaking out the lead, so to speak, and maybe all of that work that we did last year, which may have felt uncomfortable, we may have like had to realign some things, but this year that work has done a good job, and now we're kind of ready to step into a better, more infinite sense of what abundance really means.
Especially, yes, especially if we stay focused on what we want. This year is pivotal for whether you're getting what you are creating or you're not getting it. And so all the work that was put in last year can yield beautiful results if you can maintain that higher self focus. You know, if you can do things that help you to literally stay aligned with what you want. If you're not, it may not necessarily come about as quickly. There can be a long delay. Yeah. Delays really are just messages that negate what we're originally calling for. Yeah. So let's say I call for abundance. I call for a greater wealth. Yeah. So now I'm calling for greater wealth. I'm feeling wealthy. I'm talking to people who are wealthy. I'm spending time in wealthy environments. So I can literally be steeping in the mindset and the feeling energy of wealth long enough. That's my outer environment. And then I'm creating an inner environment of wealth by doing what we need to do for manifestation, right? So we have our feelings and our thoughts and our actions aligned with what we want. And I like to help people create a soul magnet, which is something that makes us magnetic to what we want. Yeah. To attract it into our lives. But let's say you don't have the soul magnet yet. Let's say you are doing in the outer environment what you can do that supports your wealth, and you're doing in the inner environment the 3 steps of manifestation, which is thinking, feeling, and acting upon what you want. Yeah. Then you're working towards your goal. Now, if you then, let's say, see a big bill coming in, and you're like, oh no, I don't have the money for that big bill. In that moment, you're going backwards. You're like, oh no, I don't have that money. So now you're feeling, thinking, and possibly acting, you know, against your goal. So now you're going backwards. Yeah. If that was a train that goes forward every time you think you know what you want, and every time you think what you don't want, it goes backwards. You're doing this all the time with a train, right? And can you imagine if that train wants to go from New York to, let's say, Tennessee? Yeah, I don't know if there's a train from New York to Tennessee, but I know there's one from Paris to Frankfurt. But let's be in America for a moment. Let's imagine there's a train from New York to Tennessee, and you're trying to get to Tennessee, and every time you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have a big bill. Or I would like to do this vacation, but I can't. Oh no, my washing machine broke. Oh no, I need a new car. All of that takes you back, and you're always going forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. I mean, by the time the year is over, you may have just found yourself halfway between New York and Tennessee. Whereas if you did something else, where you are starting in New York and you're going towards Tennessee, and there comes the bill, and you use what I call the soul magnet. You use something that we create in meditation together that helps you be so connected to the feeling and the thought of what you want that you override that. You say, yes, I have a big bill right now, but I know how I'm going to feel once I'm, feeling that abundant. So right now I'm envisioning being that abundant right now. I'm bringing it into my now moment. Even though I'm holding the bill, I'm still feeling abundant. Then you continue to move forward. And you can do that right now. You don't have to have the soul magnet. The soul magnet helps, and I'll share later with you how you can get that. But you can do this right now. So I don't want you to feel like, oh, I need something that I don't have, I want you to feel the opposite. You have everything you need. And therefore, now you have, let's say, the washing machine break or the car break. You're like, okay, the car's broken, but this will get me a better car. I'm seeing already myself in that better car. Washing machines coming in, we need to upgrade anyway. We're upgrading. So now you're going from upgrading to upgrading. In no time, you're going to be in Tennessee, right? Half a year already in Tennessee. So if you did that last year, then you upgraded your abundance last year, because this was the ideal year to upgrade. If you didn't do that, if you did this last year, which is what you were mentioning, Steve, yeah, some people have worked hard, but it's not coming through. They actually struggled. Then you can still know that every little piece of work you put in towards Tennessee or New York or wherever you want to go, what your goal is, the moon, every little piece of work you put in there is still there, right? And you've trained a muscle that helps you to literally manifest anything you need and everything you need. But this year, the importance will be, because this year has a strong pushback. It has a strong transformative component where that pushback will be stronger. This year, it'll be absolutely vital that when you get that bill, or when something breaks, or when you need more money and you don't have it, that you do everything you can to feel abundant right now. Feel it, think it, think yourself in this amazing Ferrari when you just want to, let's say, manifest a Volvo, right? You're just going to think yourself into the Ferrari. Think yourself into this mansion if you just want to get a house. So I just shared with you a trick that I like to share in my manifestation course, and that is think yourself further than you need to go. Because if you think yourself further than you need to go, and you have that setback, let's say I don't think myself to Tennessee, I think myself literally to South America with the train. If I have a setback, that setback won't be as big because I'm already having so much more speed and momentum because I go further. Yeah. And this will be very important this year. So literally always stay on track with what you want to see despite not seeing it. Okay.
Thank you for that. That awareness that you have, when you take a moment, you tune in, and you can find this higher wisdom that's always there for us. Is this something that you've had all your life, or is this something that you've developed from, a different midway through life, or, because it's different for everybody? And when did it begin for you?
I believe that everybody has that. But depending on how we grow up, it can be more buried or not as much buried. Now, I had the blessing to grow up in a family where it wasn't as much buried. And so we were talking about angels from little on, Jesus was always present in our life. We weren't tied to a religion that would tell us exactly what to do and what not to do. We were literally growing up with the religion of love. And so I was free to explore my spirituality early on. But that didn't hold me back from negating it fully when I was 18. I'm like, okay, never mind all this God stuff, I'm not believing in anything. I only believe in what I can see. And also I'm going to believe that the world is a negative place because everybody around me is struggling. I had so many deaths. Dear friends, including my boyfriend, died. My father died early on when I was 2. So I saw all these things happening that seemed to me that there's somebody actually against you, working against you. And when I was 18, I decided, and my boyfriend died in an accident, I decided, you know what? I'm not going to believe that positive stuff anymore. That's BS. Let's look at the facts, and the facts are bad. And so I went with that, and I tried this out for a while, and I lost all my friends along the way. Nobody wanted to hang out with me anymore because I could always find a negative component to what they were sharing or living. And so they were always dragged down, which helped me later to realize that you are actually creating negativity or positive inside of you. Circumstances are neutral. They are not good or bad. How you respond to circumstances makes them good or bad. When my mom died when I was 23, where I thought this would be the most horrific thing that could happen to me because we had really the best relationship, and she was the one who brought me up with connection to the divine, with unconditional love. Our house was always open for everyone. I never even had a thought in my mind, still don't, about separation and people being worth less or more. That was not part of our picture. But the world was living the opposite. So I love to go home to my mom. That's where we lived the truth, right? And she was going to die. So to me, this was like the worst thing that could ever happen. And I really wanted to leave with her. I was like, I'm going to go. There's nothing left for me here that's worth living. What happened is that through that whole year that she still had after her diagnosis of cancer, she helped me by talking with me about life and about death and about what's going to happen when she leaves the body and how she wants to stay connected here and how I can connect with her. And we started to realize, well, when she leaves her body, it's unlikely that she's going to be gone, because I was coming from physics, because physically matter cannot disappear. It can only be transformed. So if matter cannot disappear, my mom can't leave. She can just transform. And I didn't believe in God or anything at the time, but I decided, she's not going to disappear. So I want to connect with whatever she's going to be. And we set up some communication, and we started communicating telepathically, which she knew already how to do. She would always know when we were kids and we had an accident, 5 minutes later, my mom's car was next to us. Why? Because she felt it, right? And we all have that. I mean, when we have kids, you may have had some experiences like that too, where all of a sudden, like, so the phone rings and you know who it is. So when she left her body, I was prepared. I was prepared to explore a different dimension that wasn't visible. And when she left her body, I literally saw nothing but light. I was with her, holding her hand. The room was full of light. I saw angelic, streams of light coming in. This happiness came over us. We felt safe. We felt home. Everything felt good. And I felt the goodness of the universe. And I'm like, there is goodness here. There's goodness behind everything. I'm just going to do an experiment and believe that for a little bit. I don't know what's true. I tried the negative It made me feel absolutely miserable, lost all my friends, nothing worked out. It didn't help in any way. I did it for like 4 or 5 years. So now I'm going to do the other one. I'm just going to do an experiment in positivity, and I'm going to see what works better. So I decided I'm going to believe that the universe is for us, and that I can connect with something outside of the physical reality. And that once I start to understand that non-physical reality and I get to navigate that, it can help me navigate physical reality better, right? And I think my mom helped me do that, because I literally got more and more clairvoyant. I felt more and more connected. And then I met one healer. And this is why I want to share this with you. I think part of it is you wanting to open up to that, right? This is the biggest part. It's like, I want this. Our free will always has to be maintained. So if we're closed off to anything non-physical or anything related to energy or angels or God, whatever it is, then we will not be able to be aware of it. It's still present, but it's not going to be in our awareness, because there's a part in the brain, hypothalamus, that's the gateway of consciousness. It only lets in what we consider relevant. So that's part of it. The first part is, are you willing to consider that? The second part is training. And I received training. I received training from a healer that helped me to actually know what to do in order to get my brain activated in a certain way that the glands, which is the pituitary gland and the pineal gland in the brain, grow and get active. And they then in turn help me see and feel the invisible reality, see and feel energy. So this is a training, just like you can learn a language. You can learn French, right? And you may have an affinity for that, or it may be difficult. So that's a consideration that we start with. For some, it's easier. For some, it's not so easy. But that doesn't mean that everybody can learn it. Everybody can learn it. Yeah. So that doesn't mean that not everybody can learn it. Everybody can learn it. Because if you train your brain to become receptive to the settler energies and then start to understand what they mean, then you can communicate with your higher self. And when you communicate with your higher self, you have access to the all-knowing field. And that's what I discovered. I discovered through this healer that helped me access my higher self. And now I help all my tribe members, everybody who comes to me, help them access their higher self. Then we can actually tune into the all-knowing field. And it's now scientifically proven that we are connected via this morphic field that connects everyone with each other. And so in other words, if we can access this field, we can also access the information that pertains to everybody who's part of that field. And therefore I can know with who should I connect, what should I do. I can know what my purpose is. I can know what steps to take in order to fulfill my purpose, and on and on and on, right? And all of that information is not just born from my brain, which can only know what I put into it, like a computer gets input. It's born from my brain accessing the higher mind, and therefore accessing the knowledge about everyone, and therefore it considers all things.
Yeah, beautiful answer. You brought up so many thoughts, so many things that, it's like which one to grab and just continue on with this conversation. There's infinite amounts. There's definitely a couple. I actually feel like jumping into this one, and I don't know how to phrase it. So let's just go through it step by step. Thinking about, we know to tune in and create a wholeness within us, and it's a practice to find this balance. And often chakras are an easy way to at least start and consider how to find that balance. We're so often talking about connecting with the heart space, and of course that's really, really powerful and really strong and really important. And in this day of, say, distractions and all the things going on, sometimes we kind of now want to avoid thinking too much. And is that actually, because this is what you've made me potentially realize, is that kind of the aim, is to take us away from the brain? Because actually that's that part. If we can strengthen our physical brain to be able to channel that information up there, that's actually very important. So thanks for that aha. And I'm sure there's a question in there. I trust that you heard the question.
I heard it. That's so beautiful. I love how you brought that together. I love that because you're really talking about the parts in the brain that need to be activated and which parts in the brain should not be active when we are actually tapping into our purpose or when we're tapping into living on purpose. Yeah. And when I say purpose, I mean something that's really meant for you to be lived. That could be abundance. It could be love. It could be joy. Everybody's meant to live that. Yeah. But it could also be an expression of your purpose in form of your career or, other things you want to be doing. As long as you are aligned with what you're supposed to be living, and we're going to call that purpose. Yeah. Then you can enter a jet stream of the higher self that guides you and that gets you into a flow state where you don't need the brain anymore as much. You only need the brain for a very short amount of times when you need to make a decision and when you need to discern things. So if I need to discern, is this good or is this good? Or if I need to make a decision, what am I going to do on Wednesday or when am I going to do this? That's when the brain turns on. And the rest of the time, the brain is off because I'm in flow, guided to the best spot every time. So I'm going from best spot to best spot to best spot to best spot, saving me a ton of time, ton of energy, money, resources, everything. And I'm always feeling that fulfillment of being on life purpose, being on purpose. Yeah. And how do you do that? So you asked, is there a simple way of accessing that? Yeah. And yes, there's a simple way. And that's why everything divine is simple. Yeah. If it's complicated, it's us humans making it complicated. So there's two aspects to it. The number one aspect is that background information, understanding that the frontal lobe of your brain is really the part of the brain you want to develop. You want to give energy because the frontal lobe is that part of the brain that can be on guidance and that can consider all things. It's the opposite of the lower part of the brain, which is the oldest part of the brain, which is reactive. And that is only there, only to keep us alive. But most of humanity lives from there. So we're living in constant survival mode. And therefore our survival instinct, we could call it ego, is active. And when that's active, we don't have access here. This part doesn't have compassion. That's why there's competition. This part has compassion. That's why there's collaboration. And so when we are locked in here, we actually don't see circumstances. We don't see other people and how they play a role in our decision and how they play a role in our solutions. This is a part of the brain that looks only out for ourselves and doesn't consider other people. Therefore, it cannot bring you to the best results. It can only bring you quickly out of a danger zone. Because when you are running away from a fire, you don't want to have compassion. You don't want to do collaboration necessarily until you're safe. Once you're safe, you can turn that part on and you can help other people. But during that time, you don't want to, consider anything else. So we need to understand that we are not supposed to live here. We're supposed to live here. And we have trained our brains to live from here. So this is what we need to change. We need to activate our frontal lobes so that we can literally live from compassion, from collaboration, which always brings better solutions. Yeah. And really from the solution perspective, because as we know, if all humanity would work together, we would have every problem on the planet solved in 3 days. Yeah. So there are solutions. But if you're doing this right now, and if you're interested in creating a life that lives, creating a life that is based on those principles, then what you get from that is you get that feeling of joy and fulfillment and love every day. Because when you're living here, there is no fulfillment. There's only reaching goals. But that reaching of goals is a driven way of reaching goals. And you always want more. You're never satisfied. You never feel good enough. You're always in that competition. And that's where stress exists. And that's what causes all the diseases. It causes us to age sooner. In fact, when we're actually living up here, more and more, we age backwards. We become younger. And that is where fulfillment lies, when you all of a sudden feel fulfilled. And you can feel fulfilled even when you are not getting what you want, but somebody else gets what they want. And from that place, you can draw in more good for yourself, because if you're feeling fulfilled for yourself or for somebody else, the brain doesn't know the difference. And that fulfillment acts as a magnet to more fulfillment for yourself. So coming back to that, what can we do quickly? This understanding helps us, okay? Understanding I want to activate this part of the brain and getting out of that part of the brain because it feels more fulfilling. Because I am more on guidance and therefore I'm more effective as well. Now, how do we do that quickly? We want to start with energy. Because most people don't know that. They think, okay, let me just think positive, or let me just meditate and draw the energy there. Those are all components that work and help. But the real cause of us being down here, locked into that lower part of the brain, is a lack of energy. Because when we run out of energy, we get into survival mode. If we come home after work and the kids are there and the wife is there or the husband is there and we're trying to be there for them and they want something from us, but we've already given everything at work, we feel stressed. We feel uneasy, and we'll go into survival mode. We say, leave me alone right now, or I want food first, or let me just sit in front of the TV. And we're harsh to the people that matter most for who we actually work. And if that accumulates and culminates into a mountain or a volcano of constant reactions, then we suffer. And that is what we want to move out of. And how do we move out of that? We master our energy. Because when we come home from work in that same story, and we actually have an abundance of energy available, we're top fit. We have still focus. We still have so much to give. And then the wife comes, or the husband, or the child. Then that big smile comes over your face and you're like, oh my God, I waited for that moment where I can be with you. And then you have attention and you create beautiful memories and you go happy to work the next day. You can do better at work. You give more. People say, oh my gosh, I love working with you. You're seeing you're making a difference. You don't need to collapse in your lunch break. You actually, have a conversation, or you sit at a tree and recharge, which is part of the energy management. And so then that part of the brain stays asleep, because we have already developed as a human race to live from here. We're not designed to live from there. We only live from there when we are in survival mode. So having enough energy gets us out of survival mode. And how do you have enough energy? Well, you add one simple component to your energy management other than sleep and food, and that is you recharge with energy directly. That's it.
Simple. You're right.
Simple.
I love it. There was something that nearly made me laugh when you were sharing this. When you mentioned about when you're up here, you're actually reversing aging. And when you're talking about the back here, and it made me think of the lines that we get as we grow older. And if we're living back here, it's almost like this Hoover, this vacuum cleaner that's sucking forward and it's pulling the forehead backwards where it should be radiating outwards like a lighthouse. And I just love that kind of visual as you were sharing. Great reminder to
Yes.
stay up here. Yeah.
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 And of course, when you meditate, you can also, when you put your focus on your third eye, you literally give that energy. So everybody who meditates will be working more from the frontal lobe. That's part of the main benefits from meditation, that people get out of their egos. And it really happens mainly with us putting our focus up here and staying long enough focused on that area so that the energy in the breath actually draws up into that.
That kind of answers a question I think I've had at the back of my mind for some time, because sometimes I want to focus on the heart, and then I feel like, should I focus on the heart or should I focus on the head? If I'm focusing on the head, maybe I'm getting too much in my head, whereas we kind of want to get out of our heads. But what you're saying is actually it is good to stay there focused and present, because that, like a sump pump, I don't know if you've heard that what that is, but where it pulls the water out from, say, the ground, that actually pulls the heart energy up towards this space like a magnet in a way.
In fact, almost, yes, exactly. It basically creates a communication between the heart and the brain, because the communication channel is from here to here. It's not from here. This is no communication to the heart. That's blocked off. And from here to here, the heart and the mind are communicating. And so, yes, if you put your attention here during your meditation, you're literally activating the higher heart, which is right in front of the heart here. And there can be a triangle perceived that goes from here to here to here. And that triangle creates an energy field that creates heart and mind coherence. Now, there are several techniques that do that. And it's not always that you just need to be on the focus up here. You can, of course, also focus on the heart. But in order to get out of the survival mode, you want to, at least in the beginning, focus on the third eye until there's a point where you feel everything relaxes. There's this big sigh of relief. Yeah. And that's why people say, focus on the breath, because you can follow the breath through your nose all the way back there to the third eye and literally follow that breath with your attention long enough until your brain sort of lets go of that na, 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 that constant, chatter. And that chatter goes into the back. It's not like the chatter is gone. As soon as you focus on it again, you'll hear it, just like the fridge noise. If I'm focusing on the fridge noise, I hear it. But when I focus long enough away from the fridge noise onto something that I'm focusing on, I don't hear the fridge anymore. Like right now, I'm hearing the fridge again. So therefore, you go to the third eye long enough, and then until that relief comes, and then you can also put your attention from the third eye to the heart. It's almost as if your eyes go up and they go back down from behind into the heart, and you feel that connection right here. Yeah, that's between those 3 points. And you can stay focused on that. There are several meditation techniques that we teach in Higher Self Mastery as well to activate those parts of the brain, because you can go further than that. You can literally activate the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. And once they are activated, they draw all the energy of your attention and your brain function to them. And you enter a state that's called flow state. And in order to be in flow state, you need to be in a theta state of mind. Now, our normal stress consciousness right here, if we're in the lower part of the brain, is beta wavelength. Yeah, you can measure them, the beta waves. If you go into a calm meditation, you're going into alpha waves. That's calm meditation or focused concentration. But when you go into flow, you literally go to the theta state. And that theta state is what you mentioned earlier. It sort of turns the brain off, even though you get more done and you perceive more than when you're on. But it feels as if you're not in control. Why? Because you aren't. You're letting your higher self control. And that feels very, very blissful. And you can get used to that. And when you're used to that, you'll have something that I call the higher self lifestyle. where things come to you just when you think about it. Like, for example, I just thought, oh my gosh, I wish we had white asparagus here in Hawaii. I love white asparagus and we only have green asparagus. It's not a big deal, but I'm missing it kind of. And talked with my friend in Germany who was just eating white asparagus. So then I drive to the store and what do I see on the shelf? White asparagus. I actually thought, is anybody else seeing it or am I only seeing this? This is crazy. I'm living here since 17 years. I've never seen this. And so I asked the other person, do you see that white asparagus? They're like, yes. Okay, it's here. Another thing that happened, let me just think for a moment to get the right story when the last thing happened. Yeah. So I had Marie Diamond here, and she's a feng shui expert. She's absolutely the most amazing person to follow. And when it comes to energy feng shui. So she came here, she looked at my house, she went through some things and gave me some suggestions. So I ended up upgrading my success area. And I put into my success area a little piece of gold that I have in order to manifest more gold, which represents many things. And so in order for that gold not to just be laying around when the cleaners come, I put it into a little pouch that I got from Missy Butcher from Lifebook. Yeah. And so Missy and John are dear friends and they're just amazing human beings. And she gave me this little pouch. It's a pink pouch with a heart. Let me get it real quick. Yeah? Want me to get it? Okay. So here it is. I put it into this little golden pouch, yeah? And the pouch says Molokai because she sent it to me from Molokai. And I put my little piece of gold in there, right? So these are some gold coins. And I put them in there and I put it on my success area. And I put my angelite crystal that I just love from Sedona on there. And so this is how it was laying on my success area. 2 days later, John called me up and he says, I want your energy support. We need to work on this and that. And I help them with energies for their business, for their personal life. They've done a master training with me, and which is a one-on-one training. And so he calls me up and said, hey, I need help with adjusting to an amazing upgrade that I've just gone through. And so I decided I just got to come in person. So I booked the flight to Molokai. Now, what you need to understand is since 2 years, we've been talking about me coming to visit them and look at their place and help with alignment of their temple and all kinds of things. It never happened. It just never was in flow. 2 days after I put this there, I didn't think of them in terms of wanting to visit Molokai. I've never been in Molokai, but this thing says Molokai. So I am in this flow state, high vibrational state. Everything we do has an effect, but you also do things aligned with what you need to be doing. So my higher self already knew I need to go to Molokai in 2 days. It guided me to put that on there to help with the energy. So then I come to Molokai, and this is still on my success spot, and I worked with them and we had an amazing time, huge breakthroughs. And I love them so much. This is an amazing family who's just totally dialed in. They live higher self lifestyle. They completely are on that theta state. So now we're all flowing on that theta state. We're creating where, the waves are right in our face. They live right on the ocean. And before I leave, she gives me a gift. And she says she went to her altar and this is what wanted to come. Now this is an angel light Andara.
Wow.
I have my angel light on there. She gives me an angel light Andara. Wow. I wanted an Andara crystal for 2 years. I'm like, I want an Andara crystal, but I never made a wish. I never made a manifestation. I just had it in the back of my mind. This all came together. And what I mean by that is when you're on that higher self lifestyle, when you're on that theta flow state, then you are aligned. You are aligned with your higher self, and you are aligning with everything on the planet that matches your vibration. Those are people and circumstances. And you get guidance as of what to do without knowing, without the brain turning on and saying, you need to do this. You just do automatically what feels aligned. And those automatic motions, they create another ripple effect, aligned again, create more alignment, and you start creating from there. And magic happens, with these things. This is not just, oh, fun, I went there. With these things, what we do is we literally help people break through into such dimensions of what they could never achieve themselves. And if they have a big reach, like, for example, John and Missy, or, other people that I've worked with, like Vishen Lakiani, or people who have a big reach, Michael Beckwith, then 100,000 people are reached. So if the people listening to us right now, if one of the people who are listening right now feels that they have a big reach, that they really need to move higher, they need to bring their gifts out, that's where I suggest they go. They go into that theta state and align, because once you align, you'll be propelled into your next phase. Yeah.
Yeah, I love those reminders that we can do those things, because sometimes we stop believing sometimes, and then we just put it to one side and get on with so-called that life, which is the back here living. And yeah, it's great to be reminded of that. So thank you. This popped up as well when you were talking about being in alignment with the forehead as well, and the frontal lobe. It's important to have this posture, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And with so many of us we're on the phones and we're on the laptops, and we are aligning the back of the head with the heart. So we're literally aligning the survival part with the heart. So we're creating that roadway there. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a great reminder for us to actually just keep coming back, taking a breath, and realigning this. And so that was a beautiful aha. So thank you for just bringing that to my awareness, and hopefully others that are listening as well.
I love that. Yeah, your best self, your highest self, and also your higher self, which is that part of you that's not incarnated, actually gets activated when your shoulders are really far back, and when that front part of your chest comes out. So I have a part of the meditation where we say, who am I really? So you can say that right now, who am I really?
Who am
And
I really?
without answering that, yeah, you just let who you are really just come into you. And you'll find that you automatically need to draw your shoulders really far back. Who am I really?
Who am I really?
Part of you that activates here. And so this is your higher self activating, because
Mm,
that's the higher heart. Yeah.
mm,
So the posture is important. And so it is to also turn the phones off at night and turn the router off at night, because the phones and the routers, they have a frequency, talking about the brain frequency of theta state, that you want to step into, and you want to live on alpha a lot when you're in a creative mode, and you want to live on theta when you're in flow mode. But flow mode only after you have aligned yourself and after you have created a really clear intention of where you want to go, because that intention gives you the direction. Just like when you have a ship that's sets into sea and it goes from, let's say, Kona to, where can it go? Los Angeles. Yeah. So if it goes from Hawaii, Kona to Los Angeles, you need to set the course for the ship at the beginning, right? You set the course. Now, if the course is not correct, if it's only a little bit off, it can land really far off at the end, right? That little bit of an adjustment at the beginning can create huge discrepancies in the end at a distance. So therefore, it's really important that you know what your purpose is and that you align with your purpose. And then you go into higher states, into flow mode, because then the course is set and the ship just keeps on going, and you are on the ship doing what feels right. You just allow yourself to be in flow. But your intention gotta be super crisp and clear. Your how to get there, completely off your own hands. The how is up to God, up to your guidance, up to the higher self. The what is up to you, and it has to be clearly stated and intended. And that's now coming back to manifestation, what we talked about earlier. That's something you need to hold on to via your feelings and your thoughts and your actions. Yeah. Your feelings and your thoughts and your actions stay congruent with where you want to go. That sets the course. Everything else can be surrendered and let go of to that flow state. Then you reach your goals quicker. You're going to be more successful, and you're going to be more fulfilled along the way.
So what are some of the things that we can actually do to get those results for us in our lives?
Yeah, I love that. So first we want to start with energy. We want to master energy. I can give you a tool today that helps you with having more energy. The second part that's important is mastering manifestation. And we talked about that. You already understand that you need to align your feelings, thoughts, and actions with what you want. And then you can manifest more of what you want rather than what you don't want. Yeah. So that's already clear. And the soul magnet is something that I don't have time to guide you into right now because that actually takes time. It's an energy session that takes about half an hour. But with these 3 steps, you're already really far ahead. And then number 4 is access to the higher self. And I want to give a quick treat of how we can access the higher self right now in this moment so that people can take away these 3 most important aspects. Yeah. Mastering energy, mastering manifestation, and mastering your higher self access. Yeah. If people want more, I have a course that dives deep into every aspect so you can literally master it. Right now, I give you a treat. I give you a glimpse into that just so you can see, number 1, does it feel good? Is my energy aligned with you? Would you like to work with me? And also that you get results right away. Yeah, you got some results, you can run with them. If you want to go deeper, then, you can dive into the course that guides you deeply into that. And I have a special for people who are listening today where they're actually going to get the course for free. And I'm going to share later how that can happen. Yeah. So, but right now I want to give you one tool for energy management. Okay. Energy management is super important. And lots of people don't understand that we actually have a faculty given to us as humans that maybe animals don't have, that nobody has other than us. And we're equipped with that. And that is asking. We can ask for something. Yeah? A direct question. And when we ask for something, we literally start an energy flow towards us that holds the answer. A lot of people ask the wrong questions. And because they ask the wrong questions, they get the energy back into their lap of what they don't want. Such questions are, for example, why me? Why did this happen to me? Why am I feeling bad? Why is my body in pain? Why don't I have enough money? How come my car always breaks down? How come my relationships don't work? Why am I not getting the love I want and those people are getting it? Those are all the wrong questions, guys. Those are the wrong questions because they will get answers to you. If I ask, why is my car always breaking down? The universe will tell me your car's breaking down because you're focused on what you don't want, because you are not buying the right car, because you're living in the wrong environment, because you don't have enough money. That means I'm getting not enough money. I'm getting not enough environment. I'm getting all of that stuff that I don't want. Yeah? Because questions are the most powerful manifestations we can make. So what do we ask instead? We ask, how can I have the best car I can? How can I have the best relationship I possibly could? how can my body feel better? How can I get out of this pain? Let's say something bad happens to you and you get a cold. How can I feel better? Instead of, why did I get the cold? No. You want to say, how can I feel better? An even more powerful way is, let's say you're manifesting $10,000 a month. Instead of saying, how can I get $10,000 a month, which would be already good, you can say, how did I get $10,000 a month? Now your system is like, okay, I guess she already has it. And you're feeling as if you're at, try it right now. How did I get $10,000 a month?
How did I get $10,000 a month?
Woohoo! Yes. Okay. So go with that. The questions inform your reality. How did I get enough energy every day?
How did I get enough energy every day?
How did I manage to have more than enough energy every day?
How did I have more than enough energy every day?
How did I manage that?
How did I manage that? That's a
Yeah.
good one as well.
Ask those questions. Ask those questions. And then, there are tools, there are real energy tools that I can guide you into of how you can draw energy actually out of the environment around you in 5 minutes. So not only are you asking the right questions, those are quantum physical energy tools that help you align with what you want, but you can also literally draw energy out of the environment and get energy fed into your body in 5 minutes. So we're going to use another faculty that our body has, us humans have, that other entities don't have, and that is we're going to use our focused energy. Yeah. And so we're drawing our attention with our intention. We're going to draw energy to us. Yeah. Focus and attention are replaceable here in my example. So we are placing our attention on something. When we place our attention on something, the energy goes to what we're placing our attention to. Yeah. Where your attention goes, the energy flows. Yeah. So once you know that, if you're placing your attention to something you don't want again, I'm harping on that because so many people do that. I talk with clients, I tell them all of that, and then I tell them, what went good in your day today? And they'll tell me, well, I did have more energy. And it's really hard when I don't have enough energy. When I don't have enough energy, then this doesn't work. And I'm like, what on earth? Okay, then I say, okay, well, and how do you feel when you have more energy? Then they say, well, when I have more energy like today, then I can actually talk with my clients and I can hold eye contact. And, I feel so bad at night, and when I don't sleep well, then this and this happens. And I never sleep well, by the way, I'm not sleeping well. I'm like, okay, here's the problem. The problem is that 24/7, your brain is on something that you don't want. Why 24/7? Because the last thought that we think at night is where our brain stays. So if we're thinking, oh my God, I'm so exhausted, I can't wait to go to sleep. I don't want to wake up tomorrow morning. I just want to sleep in. I'm so exhausted. And you fall asleep with you're so exhausted. You spend 8 hours and exhausted. And then all day, not you, not us, not here, not now, but people may be thinking about what they don't want. So they're marinating in what they don't want and wonder why they're not getting what they want. So we are right now placing our intention on what we want for a moment in order to draw energy into our body. And where our attention goes, the energy flows. Okay? So use your imagination, close your eyes for a moment. Think of a healthy tree. You may know that tree. It may be a tree in your neighborhood or you've known from your childhood, or you just think of a healthy tree here on the planet and let the image of a healthy tree come to you. Once you have that tree in your mind's eye, place your hands in front of you. You can do that physically. And imagine that you're holding the hands onto the tree. Now ask the tree to give you from its overflow of energy. Dear tree, you can follow my voice. Dear tree, give me from your overflow of energy. And start breathing that energy in from that tree. Let the energy flow into your whole system. Every breath draws more in. And we're not depriving the tree, we're only asking for the overflow. And do that for a few moments in your own rhythm. Three more breaths. And whether you feel anything or not, that doesn't make a difference. Give thanks to the tree. Thank you, tree. Bless the tree for a moment by visualizing you're sending him light. And open your eyes. Good. Are you noticing a difference?
And I can feel, still feels like I'm holding the tree. Mm-hmm. There's a tree on the land over here. It's so beautiful. It's just really tall, and I go to it sometimes, and it's almost, it just feels beautiful. And I felt that really deep strength, that strong, structured energy there. And now my hands are activated. So yeah, beautiful exercise. Thank you so much.
Check with your body. See if you're feeling more awake, maybe more straight.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to the recording, see if you feel more straight or more energized. Here's the thing. I normally like for people to go out in nature and do it at a real tree, because this is advanced to imagine it and do it for the first time. But this is how we need to do it in a podcast. Try it with a real tree. Make sure you take a tree that's straight, that's not crooked, because if they're crooked, they're standing on a place on the planet that has two energy lines coming together underneath them. And that's not a good energy you want to draw in. So draw in from a straight tree. Give the tree thanks afterwards. I like to give it a hair, a little bit of spit to give something from me. And do it once a day and find out if you're not feeling you have more energy. Now, this is one small tool, but there are many tools that we can use, but I want to leave you with something you can actually use,
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to go straight out there, even though it's dark. I'm going to go straight out there and do that.
So we did two things. We intended, that gets an energy flow going. Yeah. We had attention on the energy. So where attention goes, energy flows. And then we also asked. So we did three things. We also asked. As soon as you ask, you get that flow of energy back. Like I said earlier, your questions inform your reality, and therefore that energy comes to you. If you just stand at a tree, you can also recharge. You've noticed when you're in nature, you always feel better, but it's much more strong when you actually ask for that overflow of energy. Yeah.
And you're acknowledging the consciousness of the tree as well. So you're actually communicating, and I think, that's a beautiful thing. So can you remind us of the question again? Is it please give me? Is it that kind of language? Please give me from the overflow of your energy.
Exactly.
Correct.
You can use your own words as long as you have overflow in there, because you don't want to ask the tree, give me from your energy or give me your energy. Yeah. Because the tree will do it, but you don't want to deprive the tree. You can do it with an ocean, with a mountain, with just the ground, anything that's a power place, draw energy from that. And I recommend doing that once a day in your lunch break. So you get that boost, because this is usually the time when we're actually going down in energy and we need a recharge. And food actually takes energy to create energy. Sleep takes time to create energy. If you use energy like that, it is so quick and you're going to be recharged. I did a whole filming of a course, the course that I'm giving to you right now. We filmed it for Mind Valley, and we literally filmed one day from 6 o'clock. I got up at 6 and I was there at the filming at 8, and we filmed till 6 p.m. and no break, no food. And around like 2, everybody was like, oh, I want to go home. And I said, let's recharge at the tree. And only a few people did with me. Some decided, no, I'm not going to do that. It's just, neglectable. And the people who actually energized with me, including myself, we had plenty energy to spare at 6 o'clock. It was a significant change from 2 to 2:05. Yeah. So I recommend try it.
Thank you so much for that offer. And how can people access that, and how can people find you?
Mm-hmm. So what this course entails, as I said earlier, is it helps you to connect with your higher self. But connecting with your higher self is not a simple thing. Otherwise, everybody would do it. Yeah. It is something you actually have to train your brain to be able to do, and you're training your body to hold that much energy and light. The wonderful thing about that is, as you're training your brain and your body, you're feeling better and better and better. So you're getting so much benefit from that preparation that if you only did the preparation, you already had a better life. Yeah. But the course comes in 3 steps. So you get that preparation and you get successfully connected with your higher self. Otherwise, if I just showed you the steps to accessing your higher self and your body wasn't prepared and trained for holding that high vibration and for communicating up on that level, then you would basically not get the most out of that. Yeah. So here's how this goes. We start by helping you master your energy so you never run out of energy ever again. And we'll do simple tools and tricks that get plugged into your daily life in simple ways so you don't have to put in a lot of time or effort. Yeah. I created that course. I downloaded it when I was a single mom. And as a single mom, you really have no time. You have a little baby that you need to take care of. You don't have time that you didn't spend away from the child. So it needed to be effective and quick. And those are those tools. The next one that will help you with is we create a soul magnet for you. We help you also understand what are the manifestation mistakes you may have been making that left you bereft of what you want and what you need to do instead, and help you dial in manifestation so you can land what you're calling in your lap. It's not an idea out there that would be fun to have and it just never comes. You literally draw that in and land it in your lap like you receive a package from Amazon. Once you order it, it comes to your home. And I'm going to help you to understand how you can be home to receive it, because this is one of the big mistakes most people do. They don't stay home. And so once that package gets delivered, they don't receive it because they already moved. So I'm going to help you with that. And number 3 is we're going to help you access your higher self. And for that, there are a few shifts that you need to make and get to make that will make you feel better in your life, that will make you feel more successful and be more successful in your life. But they also prepare the body and the mind to be in communication with the higher self in effective ways. And I'll show you the exact steps of how to travel to your higher self so you can have an encounter with your higher self. I call that the most important introduction we could ever get. Yeah. So we'll make that for you. This is what's entailed in the course. The course is $1,000 on my website right now, $997. You can get it. You can go to my website and have it right there. If you would like to receive the special offer that we have right now for you when you're listening to the recording, then this course comes with the next step after the course already included. What's the next step? The course gets you to the higher self. The next step gets you to live that higher self lifestyle, basically turning it into a lifestyle. That is what we do in my live membership. And the membership is something you can only access after the course because it's an advanced membership. But in this package that I'm offering right now, you have it both together. You would access the course, and the course will be included with the membership, and therefore you're not paying for the course extra, but you would be paying for the membership, and the membership is $97 a month. So you're paying for the membership right now. It's a yearly membership, so it's $97 a month per year. And what you get with that is the course for free, and you get live and direct access to me. I do energy sessions and teachings twice a month. They're live. You can come, you can ask questions. You can meet the community that lives that higher self lifestyle, benefit from each other. We also have community meetings twice a month. So altogether, there are 4 live meetings for you. And we have a library of over 100 sessions that help you navigate life from the higher self vantage point. I call those sessions higher self life support. So if you need support in how to navigate your relationships, how to do the festivities like Thanksgiving or Christmas, how to deal with your parents, how to be fit and create longevity, how to navigate relationships, how to create a career you want, how to find your purpose, all of those things are in there. And they come with a community of like-minded people that are what I shared earlier, living that gold. They already turned their lead into gold, and they're shining their gold out into the world, and they want to meet with you, and they want to meet you. Okay, so if you want to take advantage of that, you can get that package right there on my website, ariyalorenz.com. That is www.ariyalorenz.com, and you'll see it also blended in. And I'd love to see you in there.
Thank you so much. Yeah, if you haven't, anyone listening now, if you have not already felt this amazing, beautiful energy just from the conversation alone, go and also check out the testimonials on your website, because they're also just very shining. And I've also experienced these group sessions as well, and I know for myself they're magical.
I call it practical spirituality because we want to make it practical. As I shared, I'm coming from being an atheist and really not believing anything other than the physical world, and then discovering the non-physical world from a vantage point that actually works to enhance our physical reality. I always say, it's no use of being spiritual if it doesn't flow into your life and actually make your life better and the life of other people better. So that's what we're doing together.
What do you want to experience next in your journey?
Ooh, I love that question. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I asked myself that too when the new year came because, I started from having 500 euros a month, living in a really small rental apartment in Germany. And I got, information that I needed to move to Hawaii. And at the time, to me, that was so out of reach. I couldn't even buy the ticket to fly to Hawaii, not to speak about living in Hawaii. And of course, I wanted to bring my horse to Hawaii, which I owned at the time. If I have a horse, I'm not going to leave it there. So I started with that. And now I have 2 horses here. I brought my horse from Germany. I live at an oceanfront property, $1 million house, multi-million dollar house, beautiful relationship, beautiful child. I'm really fulfilled on so many levels. And the biggest fulfillment is for me to help others. That's where real fulfillment comes, seeing miracles every day in the energy sessions or our breakthrough mastery. But what do I want? I ask myself, what do I want next? And what I want next is I want people to really come together on that higher self lifestyle. This is what I want. I want to see 2,000 members being part of the Lemurian tribe. I want to reach 1 million people with that. So because if we have 2,000 members in the tribe and they all have a reach of several people or 100 people or 100,000 people that they work with, we're going to reach 1 million people. And imagine having 1 million people work on that higher self lifestyle, being higher self guided. Yeah. That's my goal. My goal is reaching 2,000 members in the tribe and reaching 1 million people worldwide that live their higher self lifestyle. And therefore, they are for each other. They are supported by the universe. They support others. They have true soul level fulfillment every day. And when they die, they know they fulfilled their purpose. It's not a problem to leave this planet. It's a joy and a privilege to have lived a life like that. That's what I want for people. So I'm reaching into my manifestation chest to call in 1 million people reached for higher self lifestyle. That's what I'm calling in.
Beautiful answer. And it feels like you answered all three questions in one, and I didn't even ask them. So this doesn't surprise me from you. But the next one was going to be about where do you want to grow in order to maybe get that? Or is there something you want to grow into at the moment?
Yeah, it's really growing that container, of availability and of possibility, and allowing myself to surrender to it. Already has happened in the mind of God, and whoever's listening to me right now may feel called to be part of that $1 million people, and to be called of the millions people that are reached. And therefore we can create that 100th monkey effect on the planet. Can you imagine if we have enough people that living the higher self lifestyle, how mass consciousness can shift from competition to collaboration? As soon as we reach collaboration, there's no more stopping us as humanity.
Bringing
Woohoo.
that in. Thank you. How did
Thank you.
this already happen?
I'm so glad it already happened. I can't believe. How did we do this? How did we get 1 million people onto the higher self lifestyle? I'm so grateful for that. Standing with you right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And you mentioned your website, ariyalorenz.com. Is there anywhere else they can find you? Any other aspects online or?
If people really need healing and they really know that there's a blockage that's blocking them, for example, a lot of people have a wall around their heart, and that actually blocks everything we put our hearts into. That's relationships and success and health. So if people feel that, if you feel that you have a blockage that you want to have removed, then book a healing session. We can remove that in one time, in one session, and it's gone. And you can literally thrive. That's another thing I can offer. And then if people feel called to really work one-on-one, then we need to have a conversation. That happens sometimes, that people get activated and they feel, I got to work with her.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, then listen to that. Send us an email and ask about Higher Self Mastery Pro. That is my one-on-one training. It's the highest end training I can offer, where we create the biggest breakthroughs. And I work with people who have a big reach. So if you have a big reach, if you really have people that you are reaching with your work, and you feel you have reached your ceiling and you want to go beyond where you can't go alone, then book a call with me and we'll find out if I can support you with Higher Self Mastery Pro. That is a 12-week personal customized one-on-one training. It's a high-end training. It's a 5-figure number. And if you're interested in that, email us.
Thank you so much for your time, Ariya. I can't wait to watch this again, listen to this again. I can't wait to edit this. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah, everything is coated with energy, so you just feel the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to send that. Thank you so much, Steve. So fun to work with you. So fun to have the conversation with you. And you always ask the best questions. You're so tuned in. I just love that about you. Thank you.